Hello, my friends. I just wanted to. I was thinking after drinking some bourbon or whiskey, whatever you call it. I was thinking that maybe, my friends, that Kilo was better off with her original idea. Now, this is not to say that the new direction that Kilo took was a bad thing. Nine. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I am saying is that Kilo, her original idea, basically her whole foundation, was that she used to be part of the original Nikkeis. The original Nikkeis were a giant robot, basically, but a pilot must stay in a cryosis state. Cryosis state. In order to function properly or use her body to directly cut the crap, which in turn fuses her to the machine forever. But I've been thinking about it, and what if it wasn't just that? What if it was just that? Excuse me. You see, the original idea of, Kilo being stuck in a robot for her rest of your life. I mean, it sounds like a terrible thing, my friends, but it would have been interesting to see the last set of survivors, or just the survivor of one type of Nikkei from a different time when Nikkeis were actually just straight up a machine. Now, I think Shift is going to tap into this maybe in the future? Who knows? But honestly, this is a very interesting turn they took. They took an original idea and then they made it into something amazing. I like Kilo. I love her story. This is nothing about that. It should change immediately right now. Right now, that's not what I'm saying. But wouldn't it? It was more interesting when I first heard it that she was a cryogenic human that is now trapped inside the original Nikkei, and she is literally the only Nikkei to survive all this time. From the original line of Nikkeis, not God Squad, but from this. It would have been very interesting, my friends. That's all I could say. Like, with Kilo, it's such a good event, first of all, but honestly, with Kilo and Talos was originally supposed to be just a part of her. It wasn't even named Talos. It doesn't even have a mind of its own. It was just a machine that was being directly controlled by Kilo. It makes sense, my friends, because humanity had to slap whatever they could together to fight against the Raptors. And this was one of the many that they created. And it would have been more interesting to see that there are survivors from the original Nikkei line. And now they're just physical copies of a human with incredible strength, incredible attachments. But, my friends, I don't know. Maybe if there was a different timeline when she was as her original self, as a Nikkei that was trapped into this body that the humans created. And all those years she fought along. What would do that to a person? Similarly, to God Squad, we've seen that these girls have been, mind switches, memory loss, etc. But what about the cryogenic character? What about them? The original line of Nikkeis I assume, as of right now, have all died out. And I remember correctly, in one of the notes that you find in the Lost Relics, states that the person was very seen her daughter turn into this thing, which is only could imagine is that the original Nine and Nikes was a giant robot. I feel as if this is a total shift in judgment, but at the same time, I'm glad they did, my friends. I'm glad they did, but if Kilos was one of the original Nikes from when the first outbreak of raptures came out, and humanity started to die, the freaking men of the world started to die out because they couldn't fight the raptures. Even with a nuke, they could not destroy it. So what? So what did they do? They made Nikes a super powerful weapon, which I can only imagine that they got the technology directly from raptures. And that's why the frickin' raptures can directly manipulate them with corruption. Because it's nearly the same technology, if not a lower version of that technology itself. But, and to think about it, when, oh fuck, what is his name? It's too late, it's late at night, my friends, I'm sorry. But, Lillywise, that's what his name was. I'm sorry, my friends. Lillywise. She is literally the most powerful Nike in history. The very first official Nike. But what was before that? Because what we know as Nikes today are basically a direct copy of a human being, of a woman that had her brain out and shoved into this machine. But before that, what were they using? I always thought it was a neat idea that the robotic body was the solution temporarily until they could find an actual solution for the Nikes. I always thought that was a pretty neat idea. And the fact that in a leaked animation, she can come out of the vehicle to see, but she had to stay in the machine to stay alive. Which also begs the question, if they're in a cryogenic state, but they can still move around, how can they even be still, well, around? Do they stall out and then they come out, or do they just stay in the machine? I don't know, but to my knowledge, that Kilo was in this timeline, a troubled Nike that couldn't even come to the level of a mass-produced model, but her intellect made her overcome those shortcomings. Like, she was not a perfect Nike, far from it. But with her intellect and her amazing creativity to create Talos, and to the point where there's so many attachments to Talos that Talos is the most useful robot in the world. In the story where she started to fall and, freaking, she fell, and it's like she mentally speaking, and she just went into this round of depression after being rejected, moved, and probably verbally abused, if I'm being honest. That she won't amount to anything. She won't amount to nothing. And she won't be this person, but just a spark happened. And Crown actually gave her life purpose. And she wanted to make sure that Kilo knows that Talos was there all along from the very beginning. And it took her a long time to figure that out, but Crown just didn't give her the answer straight up. She just gave her that push. The push she needed to figure it out. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked here. But that was a great story. I really liked it, but... would they save it for another character? Would they save it and then use it as another character? Like, the whole concept of Kilo alone is very interesting, very beautiful. I would want to expand. I want them for them to expand on that idea. But to officially name the first Nikke as Lilith, would it be that these other Nikkes are just sidetracks, or just like the very first type of mortal that led to the Nikkes, because they were just robotic suits at the end of the day that needed a body to be cryogenized. Cryogenized? Is that even a word? 9. But cryogenized. And then put in the suit, and then she could just crop up and then pop back in whenever she wants. And that's a little iffy, but at the same time, and the original description, her dream was to actually finally get out of the robot so she can live a normal life, which is very heart-touching. Now, it's been about 100 years now, and on our timeline right now. That makes sense. With this, my friends, just like she's trying to get that. Would that be a different character now? Since they use Kilo up for this idea. They can't use her again. It would be a totally different character. I would very excited to see, my friends. Very excited to see. Old Kilo's interesting, basically like a dreadnought in 40k, people said. I should say so myself. The old Kilo was very interesting, my friends. And I want to see if Shift Up would actually go back to that idea and actually expand on it, my friends. Expand on it. And make it something that is absolutely extraordinary. Because I've seen it many times before, my friends. I've seen it many times. That Nikke outdoes itself every single time. And especially with the new anniversary coming. I wonder where they're going to take this. And I want to see what they do in the future. Because at this point, it's only gonna go higher, my friends. And Nikke's story has not ended. One of these days, my friends, they are going to run into that Nikke they had that in the back pocket this whole time. Kilo is just scratching the surface. I get it, Kilo. She's an interesting character. Yeah, she's always been an interesting character. But I want to see where Shift Up can possibly take this to the end. Anyways, my friends, that was mine. Thoughts. I just wanted it on recording because I was thinking of it tonight. And as always, my friends, have a good day or night or whenever you're watching this. I have been the Iron Blood Commander, and I'll see you guys next time.